NFL is finally back, and today we start our Week 1 predictions for all the games happening during Week 1. We have just a little over, 1 day until we see our first NFL game of the 2024 season, and I'm super excited to get into these. So, before we get in this video, let me remind you to check out Dubby.gg and use code SHREDDER for 10% off your order of anything on their website. It's a great company. It's a lot of great energy drinks and flavors. They also have a lot of great products on their website, so go check them out by going to Dubby.gg or clicking the link in the description, and let's get right into this video. We're going to start off in our AFC matchup, starting with the Chiefs versus the Ravens. Chiefs at home, first game of the season. Chiefs get a W. I think the Ravens are going to start off this season struggling a little bit because they're kind of a new team this year. I mean, the Derrick Henry aspect, okay, yeah, it's just going to be kind of a ground pound, high, more into that, what they already were. But the defense, they lost Mike McDonald, the mastermind of their amazing 2023 defense. I could see there being a lot of struggles through the season for them because of that. They lost some guys. I don't think Patrick Queen's going to be that detrimental to their defense as a whole, but, I think what's going to be detrimental is the loss of the defensive coordinator. I think that's going to hold a lot to them, and it's going to change some things. But moving on, Bengals, Patriots. Bengals will win this game. Patriots, they're not going to be interesting until they decide to finally start Drake May, which I predict will be around week 6 or 7. I just don't think Brissett's going to do enough to be able to manage keeping him out there. It's not going to be fun. However, the Patriots could get something out of this game if Joe Burrow doesn't come out firing, right? If he comes out and struggles because of his injury that he sustained last year with his hand or whatever it was, I could see there being a way that the Patriots do get a win in this game, but it would be kind of far-fetched in a sense. Then the Jaguars at the Dolphins. I think this is a pretty good game. Honestly, the Dolphins, I think they're going to struggle this year too a little bit. Tua's just not amazing. He just can't be. He just isn't. Okay, he led the league in passing yards. Well, you don't understand ball if that's your argument, because just because you do that doesn't make you the best player in the league. Doesn't make you a top 5 quarterback. Tua's solid. He can do his job until it's cold outside. Until it's, game now on the line. It's just not Tua. He's in a scheme that the offensive coordinator sets it up for him, and he's able to, do his job. But that's it. I'm going to actually have the Jaguars win this one. I know Trevor Lawrence has had a lot of hate on how good he is, how consistent he is, things like that. But I think this is a game that he can definitely win. I like Brian Thomas Jr., the addition they got in the draft this year. I think that's going to be highly impactful for this team. The Jaguars organization is not one of the best ones. They're honestly one of the worst ones. They have kept on signing these mid-tier wide receivers to be their wide receiver ones and paying them nearly wide receiver one money, i.e. Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley, and to be not that good. I think Brian Thomas is going to come in and be that good. I think he's going to come in and be a legitimate offensive weapon for Trevor Lawrence in this team. Texans and Colts. Hot take here. I'm taking the Colts in this one. Anthony Richardson does kind of change the matchup here. How good can he be? We have heard of those joint practices with the Bengals that the Colts had that all the defenders were talking smack because he wasn't able to throw the ball. He was too scared and he'd just run. That's going to be a big problem. We saw some pretty good highlights from him last year in the few games he played. But the more impactful side of this, I think the Texans are going to have a rough year. My prediction for them is, like the Eagles last year. They won 11 games, but it was very messy. It wasn't a good 11 wins. That's what I'm predicting for the Texans this season. I'm predicting that they're going to, struggle to figure some things out. They're going to struggle to get through some things, but then they're going to win games because they're just better. They have roster talent, but it's going to hurt them in the end. And it's a sophomore slump. It happens. Their head coach and their quarterback are both sophomores. They happen. Sophomore slumps happen. It's okay. The Colts, I think they're going to capitalize on some difficulties that the Texans have. Chargers versus Raiders, a divisional matchup here. The Chargers are going to win, man. I mean, Justin Herbert, Gardner Minshew. End of story. I know the Raiders have a pretty good defense, but they had a pretty good defense last year. Let's see if they have a good defense this year. Some things can change. They can, I promise. It's not a end-all, be-all. Just because Malcolm Kuntz had a breakout season last year doesn't mean he's going to continue that this year. He might fall off the face of the earth. You don't know. Let's stop putting exponentially high expectations on these people, Malcolm Kuntz, CJ Stroud, Jordan Love, before we see them do it. Jordan Love, for example, has played 9 games. Let's not act like he's a top 10 quarterback. He's played 9 good games. That's a conversation for later, but either way. Moving into the interconference matchups, the different sides of the different whatever. We're going to start off here. Let me scroll up just a little bit. We're going to start off here with the Bears and the Titans. Obviously, Caleb Williams, Will Levis. I'm taking Caleb Williams gets the win. It's going to be messy. I don't think this is going to be a pretty game. But I think they get it done because they're probably the better team. My prediction long-term for Caleb Williams is that he's going to win the Rookie of the Year award. However, he's going to struggle to get there for the first little while. First 5-6 weeks, he's going to struggle. But then he's going to get settled in, and he's going to come out firing. He'll end up breaking some records here or there. We'll see. Steelers versus Falcons. A lot of people are predicting the Falcons to win. I'm going with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has a lot in this too. Arthur Smith versus the Falcons, that goes both ways, sure. But Russell Wilson has a lot to prove here. He needs to come out firing, and he needs to set up that he is the quarterback of this team. And I think that's a non-negotiable. He's going to be. But, I think they're going to come out here, and there's going to be a lot of stuff they didn't show in preseason, that they're going to come out and just start firing darts at the Falcons. And I think it's going to be a very solid win for Pittsburgh. Going to give them some rep. Not enough, but Kirk Cousins coming off his Achilles, that might hurt them. Their offensive weapons are young, but semi-unproven. Drake London, Kyle Pitts especially, I know. Well, they've had Desmond Ridder. Okay, they still haven't done anything. End of story. So we've got to see how good they can do. But Pittsburgh gets a win here. They have a really great defense, and that's kind of going to get it done for them. Then, one of the most interesting matchups of the week, in my opinion, Cardinals at Bills. What can Kyler Murray do? We haven't seen him really truly have a chance to play in an actual legitimate setting in 3 years, but he was an MVP when he last played, basically, or a candidate for that. Yeah, I know he played last year, but they were on a barn-burning team. Let's be real. Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, Michael Wilson, there's some weapons there. The only problem is that's the end of the list in terms of talent on this team. So I'm going to go with Buffalo winning. Buffalo, I think it's going to have a good year. I think Josh Allen's going to put this team on his back like he's never done before. Partially because he has to, but also because he needs to. And, I think he's going to do it, and I think it's going to lead him to a potential MVP level year. Broncos, Seahawks. I'm going to go with Seahawks winning. I predict the Broncos to have 10 to 13 points, and it's either touchdown field goal or touchdown field goal field goal. Not necessarily in that order, but Bo Nix will do stuff. He'll throw a touchdown. He'll be fine. 170 yards on a touchdown, 65% completion percentage, pretty solid game. Nothing special, nothing crazy, but won't be enough to get it done. They'll just get paced by the Seahawks a little bit. That's all it is. But it'll be competitive, maybe 13-17, 13-20, something like that. Then Cowboys-Browns. Cleveland at home, I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys. They're just kind of the better team. Cleveland has a solid roster and all, but they're also the Browns. You got to give that credit. Deshaun Watson, there's that issue still. I've given him the benefit of the doubt to this point on his career. Okay, he hasn't played. He's been hurt, played with a torn rotator cuff. I understand that. Off-field issues aside, just football, he's had some rough go just in terms of being able to stay on the field and whatever it may be, not being able to practice because of the suspensions and all that stuff. But at this point, if he doesn't prove it this year, it's over. It's just, you have no more excuses. You've got to prove it now. And I think Dallas does come in and capitalize off a team that may not really have an identity yet to this point in the season. No, Deshaun Watson's got to figure it out. No Nick Chubb right now. Cowboys will capitalize. Then, maybe the most interesting game of this whole week, Niners versus Jets. What do we have here? I think that we're going to see a really good game, and I'm going to have the Jets winning this one. I think the Niners are going to come in and struggle because of some of the issues they had this offseason. Between Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk not being in the building, that's going to hurt. They don't have those reps with those guys. This O-line for the Niners is a lot of new dudes. O-lines have to play as a unit. Just because Trent Williams is so good doesn't mean he can walk in and be incredible immediately. He might need a few minutes to get his steps back together. And the Jets defense is very stinking good on paper. If they can capitalize on the littlest mistakes that the Niners make, this could be a bad showing for the Niners. It really could be. And at home nonetheless. Aaron Rodgers coming back, he has that fuel not only to come back and be good because of all the haters and naysayers, but also against the Niners, the team who he's hated for his whole career because they drafted Alex Smith over him, and he's from San Fran and all that stuff like that. It could be a recipe for disaster for San Francisco this week. And finally, our NFC matchups. This one, Friday night, Eagles, Packers in Brazil. This game shouldn't be happening in Brazil because of all the issues surrounding what is going on in Brazil. They're not allowed to leave their hotel room, so why are they playing there? Don't put them in this situation if they can't do that. because they're going to get hurt or something. I will say the Eagles are going to win this game. I think they're going to come out firing. I think we're going to see the Packers struggle in this game. The Packers have, like I said earlier, have a lot of hype on them because of Jordan Love. He has played 9 good games in his NFL career. Let's stop acting like he's a top 5, top 10 quarterback because we haven't seen it. Could he be that? Absolutely. One day. But putting these expectations on him are only hurting you, us, we, the fans. Because if we want to say, oh, he's a top 5 quarterback and he comes out and doesn't even play top 10, you did that to him. You started saying that he was a top 10 quarterback, top 5 quarterback. He's not. Not yet. Let's let him prove it and see that. The receivers aren't great. The running back, I like Josh Jacobs. The O-line, not amazing. The defense is okay, but the Eagles have a lot for them. I think the Eagles win this game. Saints and Panthers, probably the most uninteresting game of the week. I'm going to go with the Saints winning this one. They're at home. However, the one thing that's going to be important here is I think we see Bryce Young play well. And we're going to watch this game and say, okay, Bryce Young improved. We're good. Panthers are fine for now. They're okay. They may not be a playoff team this year, but they're going to get better. Bryce Young's getting better. That's good. He's going to have a lot more options, a lot more opportunity. They got Deontay Johnson, and his style of receiver, the guy, a little route runner who's shifty fast, he's going to be Bryce Young's best friend. He's always open because no one can quite literally keep up with him and guard him. He's just a little shifty guy that can do that. And so I think that's going to help the Panthers out a ton. The Saints, though, they have the better team overall, in my opinion. The defense is better. The quarterback play at the moment will be better. Derek Carr is just a little bit better than Bryce Young, even if Bryce Young is better than he was last year. Alvin Kamara can be really solid. I just think they'll get a win, especially for the fact that they're at home. Vikings at Giants. I'm going to go with the Vikings winning this one. Not a tie, excuse me. Vikings winning this one. I think we see Sam Darnold come out and prove some haters wrong. All he's got to do is come out there and be decent. That's all he's got to do. We don't need Sam Darnold to be Patrick Mahomes. We don't need him to be Josh Allen. We don't need him to be Lamar Jackson. We don't need him to be Aaron Rodgers. We need him to be a quarterback who does his job, and that's it. If he does his job, this team will be absolutely fine. Kevin O'Connell is going to help him do that. Kevin O'Connell's a great head coach in terms of just being able to, hey, let's design this where you're going to be successful, okay? They do that. The Giants, I don't believe in Daniel Jones, and I don't know who does. End of story. Moving on. Bucks, Commanders. Going with the Bucks here. I just don't think the Commanders have a shot. I mean, I'm not very big on the Commanders right now. I know a lot of people think they're going to have a solid season with Jaden Daniels. I'm not convinced with him because of his college tape. He had some really poor decision-making in terms of his running, and that's going to get him killed in the NFL, to be quite honest with you. It's not going to fly here. He needs to make sure that doesn't happen. Until I see him do that, I'm not going for the Commanders at all. I think they could be the worst team in the NFL this year to a point. And then, a very interesting game to round this one out. Rams versus Lions. Obviously, there's that little beef going here with the Stafford-Goff swap with, all that jazz in there. I don't know. Whatever. What are you going to do here? My question is, which team can I be more confident in? And that's the Lions. Not only because they're at home, that does help, but the Rams have a ton of questions. Kyren Williams, what's his role going to be? How, is he that punt returner? Last time we saw a starting running back become a punt returner, wasn't very good for him. That's kind of just a joke, but at the same time, we got to see him do it again. We got to see Kyren Williams prove himself and become a really good running back, Can Cooper Kupp be good again? Can the offensive line be good again? What is the defense? Entirely. The whole defense. What is that? Because Aaron Donald's gone, what are we doing now? There's a ton of questions here and yet to be answered. I think the Lions, they're the better team. They're going to be more consistent and able and just have the ability. End of story. That's going to do it for this video. Those are my predictions for week 1. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and make sure you like and subscribe. Those buttons are right down below. Don't take but a second to press. Don't cost you a thing and help me out a ton. So please help me on my way as I grow this channel, and I will see y'all in the next video.